Welcome back to another episode of I Screwed Up. Don't do what I did. 52 business lessons that I learned in business, and I don't want you to do what I did. As I was preparing for today's episode, a song came to mind. I think it's Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. Now you know why I became an entrepreneur and not a singer. Don't do it the way I did it. Learn from my mistakes. Today's lesson involves the lessons I learned by using and working with a business broker.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Several years ago, I was looking to acquire a new company, and I was going through my due diligence process, and I had been looking at probably close to 300 companies. And I was trying to make an acquisition, and I came across a business broker. Now, if you've ever thought about buying a business, you're going to come across and you're going to work with business brokers. I mean, anyone who wants to sell their business generally engages a broker to represent them in the marketplace and to market their business. Similar to you trying to sell your home, you would hire an agent. For a business, you hire a broker. If you ever decide to do this, you've got to avoid some of the mistakes or assumptions that I made. The first is, how can you tell if a business broker is lying? His lips are moving. Now, I'm sure that there are some good business brokers out there, honest, ethical ones. I'm sure there's plenty, but I ran across one that was not. Now, remember, these brokers are engaged, hired, and paid by the seller to sell their businesses. They don't get paid until it sells. So they are pitching you and trying to get the deal done as best they can. And might they stretch the truth? Might they overlook some things? Yes, that was my experience. I had gone into these negotiations assuming and thinking that the broker was going to be forthright and honest in what he was giving me. Now, at least in the United States, there are rules and guidelines and laws that state what the broker can and cannot say, how they present the material, but there's always ways of twisting things and really making things sound a lot better than they actually are. And that's where my mistakes came in. I assumed what he was telling me was 100% accurate. I assumed when he said, that's not an issue, you won't have to worry about that I didn't have to. Those assumptions were incorrect. Anytime you're getting any advice, any information, anything from a business broker, make sure that you independently verify that information. Make sure that your due diligence team involves attorneys and CPAs that understand business and acquisitions of businesses. Your law team is going to be very important to you. You need to make sure that the buy-sell agreements are drafted by your people with your terms, your conditions. And even when there's misrepresentations and you can prove the misrepresentations, the court system, at least in the United States, is not interested in mitigating and getting involved in these business issues. So at the end of the day, it's buyer beware. Buying a business can be a very profitable and a very good experience, but you must do your homework. You can make no assumptions in the deal, verify everything, look at everything, and just because someone said it's true, it might not be so. At the end of the day, the broker represents the seller, not you, the buyer. Now, am I telling you anything new, anything that you don't already know? Probably not. What happens is, or at least this is what I found in my case, was I wanted to do this deal. At this point, I was engaged, I was vested, and I really, really wanted to close on this thing. And what I did is I allowed those little red flags to kind of disappear or kind of push them to the side and said, you know what? The broker told me this is not a big deal, and I believe him. And I knew better, I think, in my gut. I just got caught up in, let's get this deal done. And if it does come true, guess what? I'm an excellent operator. I am a great entrepreneur, and I'll just fix it. Some things are tough to fix down the road, and they can be really, really costly. If you're in the process or ever consider buying a business, please feel free to reach out to me. Just send me an email to thor@thorconklin.com. Be more than happy to jump on the phone and tell you some of the particulars and some of the areas that you need to pay attention to. Also, look, there's great books out there. You can get a great book on Audible. A matter of fact, we have a free 30-day trial and a free download book. All you need to do is simply go to audibletrial.com/peak performers. You can also find a link in today's show notes. If you're not using Audible, you need to. It's a great way to listen to books very quickly and consume information while you're doing other things. Until next time, have an absolutely amazing day.